Sure. Okay. Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to Play It Painted Live. Hope you guys are having a good Monday evening. We're starting a little early tonight, folks. It's just because of some stuff going on around the house. This is probably the most convenient time to do a little bit of a feed. So we figure let's go ahead and start it early. We also, on the painting front, we're kind of in a weird spot where there's stuff I'm painting that I can't share yet. And I'm in the middle of a commission, but for purposes of streaming tonight, we're going to paint KingPin here. I really just primed like a couple of minutes ago, and you can see he's gleaming white right now. So we're going to give him a minute to dry, and we'll paint. We're going to paint this guy the real old school kind of. I guess, yeah, we're going to paint him the old school sort of way of painting, where we're probably not going to use that much in terms of contrast paint. I'm going to clean out my airbrush real quick, and then yeah, we'll get started. So yeah, so we're working on some KingPin tonight. Wilson Fisk, as you may know him as. I'm also going to hop in the Discord. So let me go ahead and fire up the Discord. But yeah, if you're just joining us, welcome to Play It Painted Live. Let us know what you're painting or what you should be painting. Tonight we're painting Wilson Fisk, aka the KingPin. And while I'm waiting for this primer layer to dry, I figure I might as well fire up the Discord, which does not seem to be working. What happened to Discord is dead. It seems something has killed the Discord, and I do not know. I don't know what is the matter with it. I may have to uninstall it and reinstall it. Let's see. Yeah, that sucker is having problems. Yeah, I have enough time at least to uninstall. So we can uninstall and then reinstall. So, yeah. No, he's fine. He's sleeping. No, he's in his bed. Alright, so I'm going to uninstall Discord because we're having a problem. Can we uninstall it? Will it let me? Why won't it let me do that? Oh, did it already do it? May have already done it. Weird. Okay, well, it's not even on the program list anymore. Yep. Okay. So that's gone. Let's let's try to reinstall it. So we could do this while we're waiting for this. See, is it? Yeah. Nope. It's not gonna let me do that. Wow. Okay. Well, no one's watching right now, so let's go to the. Let's try to find it in the. Try to find it in the Microsoft Store, I guess. Right? But yeah, something bad happened to my Discord, so. Nope. I think I gotta download it off the internet. It's fairly important, so. Maybe this is what we end up doing. Let's download. Okay, so we're gonna do Discord setup. But yeah, this is a pretty good spot to just kind of sit here and let this this primer dry for just a second. And nobody has joined yet. But like I said, the plan is to paint this really old school style, right? There's a gap there that kind of sucks. His little pants have a gap. It just didn't quite run the way. Okay, let's run Discord setup. Let's see if that's gonna, because I prefer to be on Discord anyway, in case we, in case we do need to be on that side and somebody wants to jump in and chat. I would rather have it running. There we go. Looks like we are good to go. Okay, cool. So I can go to my server and I can go in here. I can go into the on air section and I can share my screen or share my camera. There we go. All right. So I am in the Discord if you want to chat, but doesn't look like anyone's on yet. So let's go ahead and start painting Mr. KingPin. Now we could use the contrast paints to kind of give us an initial wash here. But what I'm going to do is we're going to do this old school style, right? And that means we're going to go with the classic beige red here, right? So we're going classic darker colors and then highlight up to lighter colors. I could, since I am doing it that way, I could do the eyes first, in fact. So let's go ahead and do that, actually. Let's go ahead and light up, right? So I'm going to use chestnut brown around the eyes. All right, that'll give me a nice dark color that's not too far left of where the skin tone is going to be, so it doesn't look like he's got like black eyeliner. He's not going to look goth or anything like that. But we do want to just kind of highlight his eyeballs. So I am going to overpaint this just a little bit because we will be able to correct that with our base coat paint, right? So I'm gonna kind of overpaint the eyes for a second. Okay, now we're gonna get some white paint. If I have white paint, I know I got it. It's just very hard. I'm actually painting in the dark tonight. But yeah, hopefully you guys had a decent Monday. Mine was okay. Got to play a little MCP, which is good. All right. So, all right. So let's go ahead and okay. So I don't think you can see any of that yet, can you? It's okay. The white is too gleaming. Too gleaming a white, right? Okay. There we go. And then now we do actually need black to dot the I's. Hold on. I'm gonna actually I want to hit the white twice, just to make sure the whites of the eyes are going to be bright enough for you to see that they're there. I think I really overpainted that. Yeah, I kind of overpainted both. But that's okay. That's okay, because um, the black is going to kind of overlap a little bit. So even though like that white looks too white, we will overpaint it a little bit with the black and fix it. Okay. So now let's go with the black. And just really trying to get us a nice fine point. There we go. So now you can see the white looks his eyeball. Oh, you can't really see it. But once I get the color down, you'll see it. You'll see the eyes will start to pop. There we go. So now we have the eyes. They actually look pretty good, but I am going to come back with a little bit of the chestnut and clean up a little bit to make the eyes make him look a little bit less. He looks a little surprised on this side, so we'll clean that up. And this side you got a little too much bleed of the white. So we'll shorten up the white there. Okay, and that looks pretty good. Alright, now let's do the skin. Okay. We'll shoot a little bit of the skin there. So again, we're going to go beige red as the undercoat for the skin. Okay. You don't need to thin these AK that much, but you get just enough water in this so that it flows out right. Okay. Right, so here we go. So you can see what a nice base coat for skin this beige red really is from AK. Right. And I understand that painting KingPin isn't the most inspiring thing you're going to paint for MCP. because as a character design, he's not all that inspiring. But, I mean, the character is cool enough to, I guess, be a little excited about. Right? When you say, is it too bright? Can you see what's going on here? Feels like the lights are a little too bright for you to tell what's going on. So you guys are gonna have to tell me. Thing is, like I said, I don't have the actual room light on at this point, and maybe it's just too concentrated right now over this area. Okay. Just getting some KingPin down. Let's this guy's hands are gigantic. Right? Okay. Still here. I hear that my processor fan going kind of nuts right now, which is interesting. All right. KingPin's pretty hardcore, dude. Okay. All right. So we're gonna let that dry down a little bit. I'm gonna see if there is a way that I can make this a little easier to see on camera, because it does look like we're having some issues here. That's about as close as we can get. The auto white balance, color intensity. If I turn the brightness down, there we go. Does that look better, guys? Brightness down? I think so. Okay, I think that does look better. So we can kind of tell what's going on. All right, so we're gonna let that dry a bit. We're also, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do KingPin's purple shirt. Right? So he has a purple shirt and like a dark purple tie. Kind of the most, that's the like most iconic version of KingPin, is the white suit with the purple. Right? So let's go ahead and do that. right? And I'm just doing this while while that first color of beige red on the skin is drying, because that will, it's just convenient to do. Right, so what a weird angle in here to try to get to the knot of his suit. The good news is, you know, we can clean up everything because we are painting from the outside in. So I guess I will just kind of spill out a little bit. Just make sure I have purple everywhere it needs to be. All right, we'll clean it up as we go. I want he's gonna have a little purple ring around the collar for a moment, and then that's actually, he actually has a little purple cuff inside here that you can't hardly see, but I will get it just to, for anyone really that is gonna stare at this miniature. Not that you would, but I don't know, it's just not right, because the color scheme is so simple. He's not gonna be like totally eye-catching for most people. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish this purple. Okay, all right. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to give him some eyebrows. So I want the eyebrows to be pencil thin. Right? So paint in a couple eyebrows here. The idea here is I'm going to paint them a little bigger than they need to be. So he's looking a little weird at the moment, but let's but we're gonna clean it up. We're gonna clean it up using the beige red. All right. There we go. There. So I'm gonna cut the eyebrows in a little sharper. Hey, this one actually I kind of screwed up, so I'm gonna redo it. Let's redo that one because that one did look a little funny. Let's all right. I want that to dry down just a little bit, and I'm going to paint the top of the ridge here. I have just never been good at painting eyebrows. That's definitely better than where it was. But now now what I have to do is make the other eyebrow match that, right? by bringing the other eyebrow in tighter. That means going like that. Okay, right? And then we clean that up again with the beige red. Right, I want these eyebrows to be thin. But they need to match. And there we go. Those eyebrows do match. Okay, cool. All right. All right, so now let's start moving off of this beige red, and let's move towards not radiant flesh. We're going to move towards basic skin tone. Hey, Octavius, you okay, buddy? Am I bugging you? Do you want me to stop? You want me to stop, kiddo? Okay, all right. We're going to go for a little bit longer and just see how much we can get done without bugging my child. My child. So we're going to do some basic skin tone. We're going to start blending that. Right, so a little bit of water, and then we'll blend some of this beige red into basic skin tone. Right, that'll give us a mid-tone color that we want. There's a good mid-tone. Actually, it needs a little bit more beige red that I just put away. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, that's giving me a nice mid-tone. Okay. It's the same thing as before. We're going to work up this highlight here. But this is old school way, right? We're not doing contrast paints. We're not doing, right, trick washes, at least not in this stage. All I want to do right now is get a very nice sort of decent skin tone down. There we go. Right. We aren't looking to cover the entire area. We just want to get most of this base coat down. All right. Okay. Looks pretty good. And then, so that's the first layer of the base skin tone. obviously this guy has had hard physique training, so the skin tone should be pretty healthy. Like that's a pretty healthy skin tone we're getting to right there. Oops, screwed up a little bit on that, but it's okay. I don't think anyone will notice. Except for the people who may watch this back and then they go back and they look at my photo and go, yeah, you screwed up right there. Okay. Okay. Cool. All right. Coming along pretty well. Pretty happy with that so far. We're going to let that dry down. I'm going to do a second coat of the purple while we're doing that. Right? Just to solidify the purple. Okay. Pretty good. Pretty good purple going down right there. All right. Now, while that's drying, we can start the actual white. We can actually base coat the white. And what I'm going to do to base coat the white is we're going to go with a pale white color. So I'm going to use Glacier Blue as the undertone. Okay. So we're just going to, and Glacier Blue covers really nicely, so it will be able to clean up that the purple overspill that I had. So this should cover the purple pretty well. Oh, actually, before I even do that, I totally forgot. I need to do the handkerchief here. Purple also. It's got a match. It's fancy. He's got to match that. I mean, he is the KingPin. He's got to have... And purple is such a royal color that it's very fitting on my man's here. All right. All right. So you can see the blue coming down. And, I mean, it does look... As this is going down, because the primer was so white, this is looking blue, which is okay. I'm okay with that. A little bit of a pale blue tone is nice because this is going to serve as the base coat and a little bit of the shadow, right? But the important thing this Glacier Blue does is it will completely fix the purple overspill. Oop, almost to a fault there. You can see I actually spilled over with the Glacier Blue. Here we go. Okay. we're just going to continue on with this while that skin tone is drying. We're going to apply really one more highlight to the skin. Right, just to make the skin we're going for a fairly clean look here for KingPin. You know, it looks like I'm bleeding a little bit of purple there. So I probably have to do a couple layers of this glacier blue just to make sure I got everything. Okay. All right. So I don't know, maybe no one's joining us tonight, which is fine. I mean, my normal streaming night is Sunday night, but I couldn't do it because my boys were out and about at this time of night, so I gave them my attention. We went to bed. Most of us tried to go to bed fairly early. Okay. So it's looking pretty nice as far as like a smooth paint job. Okay. Okay. So far so good. All right, we're gonna let that dry. And let's I'm gonna do a couple layers of basic skin tone. Right. So I'm pretty happy with that. Right. So right. Now this basic skin tone, I don't really need it to cover too much. I'm actually gonna spread it out all thin here. The idea being that, you know, some of that undercoat will show through. And this will just be a real kind of a larger highlight instead of a base coat. What I should have done, since this is the last, really kind of the last layer, is I should have turned this into a glaze. Just hit it that way. But this isn't bad, right? It's a little on the light side for my taste. but I'm gonna let it dry because a lot of times what happens is it looks pretty light like this wet, and then you let it dry and a lot of stuff comes back and you're pretty happy with it after that, which I think I will be with this, just making sure that that my highlights land in the right spot. Homeboy has a lot of rings on, which is really cool because he is the KingPin, right? Yeah, Homeboy has a ton of rings on. All right. So now we're going to work up the tie a little bit by doing something totally different. We're actually going to highlight the shirt, okay? And I want the shirt to be almost like a plum color. I think that would help kind of the rest of this stand out a little bit. All right, so let me see what I have as far as a plum color. Very hard to see, paint's in the dark here, but I think I believe in me. Should be able to find something. So, it looks one color in the dark, and then it's different when you pull it up. Yeah, I'm not coming up with the color I want, but I know it's here because I use it. I know it's here, just gotta find it. That light purple ink, that's not quite what I wanted. What I want is like almost like a lavender or like a plum. Let's see if we can get that. Now I've got it. It's just a matter of finding it. Every time I see this, I think this is it, but that's not it. It just looks like it from far away. Well, yeah. It's a little frustrating. Okay, let's try something different. Yeah, let's try something different. Oh, there it is. Okay, so we're gonna highlight with this amethyst purple, right? And what that's gonna do is that's gonna make the shirt. That's gonna make the shirt actually lighter than the tie. That's what I want. Okay. So it's gonna look very light, but I'll fix it as we go. Right. I still want, you can see, where I still want it to look basically purple, but you can see I've got kind of a, on the shirt, there's kind of a lavender thing going. Okay, and we're gonna make this all kind of tight at the end. You just have to trust me for now. All right, this is all gonna tighten up. So for right now, this is what we're doing. Okay, purple, purple, purple. So this is a much lighter purple. Going down. We're okay back here. Doesn't have to be the cleanest line in the world. All right. Give it another layer of glacier blue. Right. Really just, once again, go back in, clean it all up. Oop. You may not find painting white all that inspiring, but I think it's actually really useful to be with someone when this would have been super useful for me when I started painting, and I wanted, and I wanted really sharp whites that were still relatively clean, but that didn't just look like a gobby white mess. You wanted, okay, maybe I didn't say that the best, but you know what I meant. Okay, so, right, so there's all the glacier blue going down again. Second coat of that. And I really want that glacier blue to fill, right, to fill and to solidify. Really make this model believable as a three-dimensional object of the scale, which is weird. I know it's kind of a weird way of explaining that, but that's actually what I want here. Okay. So a couple layers of glacier blue, just to get all that taken care of. Okay. Let's do second layer of purple on the tie. Oh gosh. right? I want this tie to be fairly sharp purple. Okay. All right, and that. I prefer it if his tie was actually black. I think it would stand out a little bit better. Hey, Spidey64. What's up? Welcome to the feed. Thank you for the compliment. Just doing a little painting here tonight. I assume by your name you may be a player of MCP, or at the very least you're a Spider-Man fan. So welcome. Let's go ahead and so now we're gonna while the undercoat white is gonna dry, we're gonna start to hit some of the undercoat, some of the metallics. Okay, so we're gonna use some black gray here. Which is really nice undercoat for this type of stuff. And we're going to hit anything that is going to be metal or close to metal, but not gold, right? Because KingPin's going to have a bunch of gold rings, so it's not going to be on the gold rings. It's not going to be on the gold buttons. It's mainly going to be here on the law office's sign, right? So it's not much, but it is going to help this thing pop a bit. And we probably are going to do some true metallic metals on this. Thinking about picking up the game, models look fantastic. Yeah, I was not interested in playing the game, but I bought a set just prior to the lockdown, thinking that my son and I may want to play it at some point. So I painted through that initial set, right? And then as the lockdown started to end out here, my son and I went on to do different things, and it just wasn't getting any attention. And my friend, who's also my biggest commissions customer, wanted the set that I painted because he wanted to start playing it. So I sold it to him, and then he ended up buying, most of the line. In fact, he's still collecting much of the line right now, and I've been painting it. So I've been painting most of the line. I'm actually pretty close to finishing the entire range, and many models I've painted twice. And it wasn't until I always said, okay, I'll play when either Spider-Man has a good team to play, or or Sinister Six comes out, because I really like Sinister Six. So sure enough, both things happened, and so when the Craven Lizard box showed up at my LGS, it's like, okay, start up again. Okay, so now we want to undercoat everything that's going to be gold, and we're going to undercoat everything that's going to be gold with like a chestnut brown. Okay, and there's going to be actually a lot of pieces that are gold. I'm actually going to, because KingPin kind of has it's actually like grabbing a little tie pin here. It's not little, but he's grabbing a tie pin there. We're going to give him, both of his rings are going to be gold. So let's get those. Got a pinky ring here. And he actually, I believe he has a ring here too. I don't know. Even if he doesn't, he does now. And then he's got a gold cuff link here. I mean, he's styling pretty hard. And then these buttons are all going to be, they're going to be gold, or at least, you know, a gold yellow. So let's go ahead and get, ooh, that still has wet paint on it. That's not good. But yeah, if you're on the fence, I don't know what else you may play, if anything, but if you love Marvel, I mean, your name is Spidey64. You know, just making some assumptions based on that, you probably are going to enjoy the game. So, I mean, you're going to enjoy the IP enough to want to play the game. Ooh, I'm making a mess here because that glacier brown, that glacial blue did not finish drying. All right. It's still pretty wet. So I don't know how much I can realistically do right now. I mean, I can continue to work on the model. Yeah, I mean, I'm playing, you know, Web Warriors and Spider Foes, and with the addition of KingPin here, I'll be able to roll some Syndicate as well. So that's going to be super fun, right? Because there's a lot of good crossover between Syndicate and Spider Foes. So I'm kind of down for that. Yeah, I just need this paint to dry. It's really not drying. What's up, Jose? I enjoy making terrain, and up to this point done anything modern. Okay, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah, the game kind of has prefab terrain that you can buy. They're a bit expensive. The kits are a bit expensive if you're going to do that. But also, I would also say you could alternately, you know, use any of the MDF building terrain like Knights of Dice stuff is what I would recommend. And you know, anything that you might use for the Batman miniatures game. But I know you said this may be your only modern game. But yeah, if you did want to pay for the terrain kits, this game does have very good terrain kits. They're just not cheap, right? You may look at the price tag and balk a little bit, I should say. And if you do, that is totally fine because the pricing is very high. So you're gonna want to, you may want to just build your own terrain for it. All right. Sucks that I didn't get that piece of flash back there. We're getting there. What are you up to, Jose? Oh. Okay, we're gonna let that dry. Let's paint the shoes in. And we're gonna paint the shoes a black gray, because that's a very good color. But the flat black gray. I don't want to use the airbrush black gray. Just like Warhammer Terrain, yeah. Now the good news, also kind of like GW, is the starter sets for these. The starter set is actually a pretty good bargain for what you get, right? Because you get 10 minis and you get a decent starter terrain set, and you get all your your measuring widgets, your dice. You get the 6 crisis cards. So the starter set is definitely a good place for you to begin. And it gets you a lot of necessary stuff and pretty good stuff. The characters in the starter set are decent. They're pretty good, in my opinion. And obviously you could build a lot of different ways out from the starter set. It's kind of designed for that. Now, if you're going to go Web Warriors or Spider Foes, you actually don't need the starter set. It's still going to be helpful because of the crisis cards, the widgets, and all that stuff. But you're not going to use too many models out of the starter set. That's been my experience. So I ended up not using too many models, except for Doc Ock, Spider-Man, and Black Widow. Late War Brits, nice, cool. That's cool, Jose. All right, so we're gonna let that dry for a second. I'm not having much luck getting my stuff to dry tonight. It's not behaving. This stuff is not behaving very well. Okay, so let's swap over to some metallics. And I'm going to use a different brush for the metallics because you should. It's a good idea to do that. And I want to do copper is a really nice place to start when you're doing gold. Right, so you could do copper as kind of the base coat and then highlight up to gold. Plus, we could use this copper for the sign down there. Right. So just gonna hit that copper here. Right. And there's gonna be a lot of cleanup. So yeah, just figured I would pick up KingPin because he's the last of the Spider Foes I need to complete that affiliation. And he is turns out KingPin is he's the leader for Criminal Syndicate, which makes a lot of sense. And when I looked at the Criminal Syndicate roster, I was like, oh wow, a lot of my favorite Spider Foes are already Criminal Syndicate. And Criminal Syndicate, so I could run the crew, the models I still want to run, and Criminal Syndicate under KingPin actually has a pretty good leadership ability, which I'm going to be a fan of. So all of that kind of just made sense for me to do. Right? So now I'm pretty stoked to play my bad guy 10. So in this game, you want to think about characters in groups of 10. And you're going to, I guess unless you're playing full casual. If you're playing full casual, you just never care. Right? Just field whatever pieces you want. But even though I am going to be playing like 90% casual in casual games and whatnot, I still really like the idea of running tournament compatible formation, right? So that, if I do decide to drop into a tournament, I'm already used to the format and I already have a roster that's going to work well. Okay. So my original 10 was basically 6 web warriors and 4 spider foes with some interchangeability, right? Like for example, Venom can be on either team. And so the idea there was, at certain point values and certain scenario combinations, I would run spider foe or web warriors, and in other ones I would run spider foes. And that 10 worked out pretty well for me. And I'm really enjoying playing it, and I'm learning a lot about the characters. But as my collection grows, I'm finding I want to kind of start to split off that original 10 and make a more dedicated spider foes list and a more dedicated web warriors list. So that's kind of where I'm at now. Is, with adding KingPin, I'm going to get to I'm going to get to branch out a little bit more towards the criminal syndicate side of things. Okay, there's this edge right here that's bothering me that I want to get. There we go. Okay. All right. So we're moving along pretty well now. Let's go ahead and move over to gold. So I should have a gold paint up here somewhere. It's very, very, very hard for me to find the paints I need because I'm in the dark. Yeah. Just do not. There's gold. Okay. Alright, so we're going to use some Vallejo gold. And it's really just going to be a highlight color. Ooh, didn't mix very well. I hope this covers. That was not very promising. Alright. No, that's not great. Oh, that's pretty bright, if anything. Let's see what we get. That's okay. I mean, it's highlighting. It's highlighting it gold. That's what I wanted. Okay. Yeah, that glacier blue did not want to dry. That's a little bit of a problem. I'm gonna have to fix down there at that button there. Now the sign that he's stepping on, I kind of want that to remain that copper color. I might just give it a very, very light highlight because I want it to look, I don't want it to look gold, I want it to look more brass, right? And I'll do the lettering. Okay. All right. It's pretty good. Pretty good so far. The next thing I want to do is I want to paint some bright like red and green like gemstones, right? And at this scale, you don't have to do too much. I'm gonna use some of this Pro Acryl red. I have some Pro Acryl red and some Pro Acryl green. Whoa. And we're just gonna get some detail around right onto some of the gemstones. So for example, the tie clip here, I'm gonna make a red gem in the center of that. Okay, so I want that to be a red gem there. And also want to have a red gem here. And this ring here, that to be a red gem there. Okay. And then it's looking pretty gaudy, right? And then we're going to do a green emerald right here. But yeah, I'm really excited to run Criminal Syndicate. I did not think I was. I didn't think I was interested in Criminal Syndicate until I realized I had most of what I needed for Criminal Syndicate already. And my favorite thing, Mysterio and Black Cat, both of some of my favorite characters in the game, are both Affiliation Criminal Syndicate. So I ain't mad at that. That's awesome. All right. I still kind of hate his tie. I still really kind of hate his tie. I'm going to try one more coat of purple on it. But if I still hate it after that, I may paint it black. Because it just looks so odd. It's not defined enough. Okay, so now, that said, I think we are almost ready to do the lining around this and really give the model some more definition. But before we do that, let's go ahead and let's get in some work around the base here. So I use this Agaros Dunes on my basing so that I know the difference between my models and like say Nelson's models, right? That's one thing you got to do. If you're commission painting this, make sure you use a different base color scheme for your models versus your customer's models. Or, or you'll play a game with them and then walk away with the wrong models, so don't do that. All right. Okay. So while that's drying, the next thing I'm going to do, very quick little dry brush here on the curb part, the little ramp. I like to get a little bit of, right, it looks like a steel color right now. We're going to get a little bit of kind of a chrome, pretty heavy line there. And we get all the bumps, right? But I don't want this, I want that to be kind of, right, just kind of jagged looking. It's a curb after all. People walk on it all day, right? What do you expect? Okay, so there's that. Okay, I think and I hope we are dry enough to do what I need to do next. All right. Okay, so now we want to define, well, wait. Before we actually do that, I want to do this. I want to clean up that just a bit right there. Right. I don't know if that's going to dry. I want it to dry, but I don't know. I don't know if that's going to dry. So is there something else I could work on right now? Well, I could take the pooling contrast paint off. That would help. There we go. Right. Okay. All right. All right. I'm going to do something a little ridiculous. Really need that to dry before I need to do this next part. Otherwise, this thing will be a catastrophe. Okay, we are almost there. Oh man. You know what? Let's give him a break. Let's give this guy a break. Let's sit here for a minute. You know, if you have any questions about MCP, let me know. I don't know. If you have a question for about Malifaux or MCP or BMG, anything else that I'm playing, please let me know. Because I want to give this guy every chance to dry. Whew, before I move on. All right, let's go slow. All right, so what I have to do now is I want to do liner basically all throughout this suit before it goes to full white. And the way you do that is we're going to use our handy dandy navy gray wash here, which is excellent. Problem is, the scary thing is going to be when I actually run out of this stuff, because it is very useful and you're about to see how useful it is. So navy gray here is gonna act as like a liner and a shade. You see it going down there. And I don't need it to hit all of these lines terribly hard. Right? I don't want any of it to pool. But I'm going to push it around here. But I do want to get, you can see I can get everything, including the metallics. Get all of that. The goal here is to push this around, and then when we hit it with the white, the final white, it's not going to be that harsh in these crevices here, right? I just want it to line those areas in there. Okay, it's going to line around the pocket, right? Just like that. I just painted down in this area, so I got to be careful. I don't want to hit those bottom two buttons just yet. But you can see what I'm doing, right? It's giving me the outline that I want, but I'm going to come back and clean this whole thing up. Oh, hey man, thanks for the donation. Take care, Spidey64. Thanks for coming down. Really appreciate it. Okay, let's see. Did Weird come out with an Alt Misaki Master? They did, and it was at Gen Con, and I forgot to tell Bing to pick it up because it came with an Alt Ivan too, and I really wanted that, but that's okay. Yes, it did come out with an Alt Misaki, and now we're gonna have to wait for regular release because it was not in the Weird store during Gen Con, it was only at Gen Con. All right. Okay, so now we're gonna let this wash dry. It really did settle a little harder than I thought it would. And the reason why I think that happened is because I did not gloss varnish this like I should have. So we'll clean it up with a damp brush while we wait. That way we can be prepping this for the final bit of painting, right? You really only want those hard lines in very specific points, right? Like around the collar, right? So around the collar, in between the shirt and the in between the shirt and the coat. Here I'm starting to clean this all up. You can see it. That's the one thing really nice about those MIG washes is they clean up really nice. Right, so I should be able to remove all of the pooling wash just with a damp brush. So it's going to look a little dirty for a second, but it won't be for long. You'll see. He's still going to look super clean at the end, but he'll have a nice kind of a liner. And I think I'm going to try out the Pro Acryl White on this. Just see how it goes. Okay. All right. Starting to look pretty good. The back of the pants is pretty bad. Hey, what's up, Sean? I gotta pick up all that mess back there. Starting to wobble a little. Okay, right there. We did a fair amount of cleanup there to get all that guck off the wash. All right. In fact, I'm wondering if I should just go back and do another coat of Glacier Blue. Probably should. Oh, he's still not glued onto the base very well. I'm not sure why. He just didn't stick. Weird. Yeah, I didn't go for. I was gonna do Biggie, but I don't know. When I started to paint the skin, I was like, you know what? It's still nice and clean the way this is. I think that would have been super cool, but that's okay. We'll save that. We'll see how much I like him. If he becomes one of my favorites, maybe he does earn the like custom paint job, right? Wow, I cannot believe that. Why isn't that sticking? Hold on. No, I really don't want to do that until after. I think I'll let the whole thing dry and then I'll. All right. Anyway, let's go back with the Glacier Blue. Yeah, I still think it's a super cool idea, but I gotta be honest with you, the KingPin card, just on his own, he does not seem all that impressive to me. He's slow, he's tanky, but the range of his powers are still pretty short. And it seems like he kind of has the same issues that Venom has, but Venom at least has a range 3 builder, right? And Venom has the ability to drag you towards him, whereas this guy has neither of those things. He has a beam. That's kind of cool. I do like his beam attack, but I don't know. I don't know how. That's a range 3, but it does not build him any energy, which kind of blows, right? In Cabal, that's kind of cool, I guess, because that would at least net him in energy, but the beam does not, like, it's not doing anything spectacular for him. Okay, so let's let that dry for a second. I don't know, Red Skull is pretty amazing though. Red Skull can open the cube. He can give himself a ton of power. He can then, his leadership ability is really strong. Also, Red Skull's only 3 threat. Like, he's a bargain. And that dude you just gain so much power playing Red Skull. He's like very easy to charge up. KingPin seems harder to charge up because he's range short, and his builder is a range 2. Like, that's a pretty bad combo. Alright, we'll let that. Give that a minute to dry. And then we'll. It sucks that he's not sticking to his base. I don't know. Well, okay. But we're getting close. We're getting very, very close now. Still don't quite like that his tie and his shirt are too close together in appearance. Alright, let's go ahead and let's start with that white. What did I do with... Alright, so we're going to try Pro-Acryl White, which I've never used before. So let's see what we got. Alright. Okay, let's go ahead and put all this stuff on. So, wish me luck. I have never used Pro-Acryl White before. Okay, it is not as white as Vallejo White. Just looking at the raw paint. Oh, that's a mess. Hold on. Okay. It's kind of a chalky white too. But let's see what we can get here. Looks like it covers pretty well. Right, that's pretty nice actually. You see that? That looks like that's covering pretty well. So out of the gate, pretty nice white. It's toned. It's not as like pure white as Vallejo pure white, but that's not necessarily a bad thing because most people won't notice that. Most people will just notice when your white is chalky or when it's not covering. And so far, it looks to be covering pretty well. And does not appear to be terribly chalky. Right? That's kind of nice. Still need to finish Sam. Okay. But yeah, this dude here is going to expand my bad guy play a bit. Ooh. So I'm excited. Should make things pretty fun. All right. And I'm gonna we're gonna do thin coats and build up like we were. Kind of nice, right? Okay. Yeah, that's a pretty nice white. Pretty nice white. But you can see, yeah, that pro-acryl white, it does have a bit of a tone to it. So honestly, that makes it a good painting white, but not a good mixing white, which is still really nice. You can kind of see the tone as I'm painting it there. It's not quite your bright titanium white. I can actually demonstrate this for you on my wet palette. Once I want to get this coat down, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's a somewhat it's clean looking, but I'll show you that it's actually a somewhat of a dirty white. But dirty white, you want to paint with a dirty white because it will cover better than a super clean white. It's actually a pretty dirty white, but it's gonna look great when all said and done. It should look pretty good, just because it's gonna cover so well. It's really not bad. Right? If this were a cleaner white, you'd see every brush stroke that I'm putting down. You'd see it all. And this is covering really well. This is like the color, this is like a color a contractor would call white. But it's not very white. I want to give it another layer here. In fact, I could probably do Vallejo as the final white. I probably will, in fact, because I'll show you what this looks like by sticking them next to each other. All right, it's looking pretty good. Okay, let's let that dry for a sec. All right, so I'm gonna show you my wet palette, and maybe you can see it on camera, maybe not. All right, so here's my wet palette. Now this color right here, this is the Vallejo White, and this is the Pro-Acryl White. So let me put them, so I guess so with the Pro-Acryl White, what you can do it red and black, nice. What you can do is I'm going to take this Vallejo White and I'm going to drop a drop of it in the center of the Pro-Acryl White. And the difference, you'll be able to see the color difference one on the other and tell what's actually the cleaner white. Okay, so, whoops. All right, whoops. Actually, you can't see on camera. I think that failed on camera. That didn't quite, but I can see it. It definitely is. The Vallejo White is definitely a cleaner white. It's definitely brighter. You'll see when I use it as the highlight for the Pro-Acryl White. We'll just give that a second to, we'll give the Pro-Acryl White a second to dry. In fact, I want to get a little bit of it in here. There we go. Yeah, we'll give it. What? I mean, he does look super clean. Look at him. And it looks rather distinguished now. What? Hello. Don't ever tell me to stop eating donuts. I do love him. KingPin is pretty dope, not gonna lie. Alright. So now we're going to super highlight with Vallejo White. Painters will tell you never to paint with pure black or pure white. And I'll tell you, don't do that, but there are exceptions. And this is one of those exceptions. And so now you can see, now you'll see how much brighter the Vallejo White is. So yeah, the Vallejo White is a cleaner white, but honestly, I'm happy I have both, right? Because that Pro-Acryl White will get me quite a the ways there, and I finish with the Vallejo White, and everybody's happy. You see how white? Did you see that? I don't know if you can see that. Hey, what's up? Mr. Lunn, how are you, sir? Long time no see. Hope everything is going well out in your neck of the woods, sir. I'm just painting this fat dude. Don't mind me. Just painting a fat dude. Who is pretty awesome, by the way. Right, I'm just trying to get but are you able to see now that the Vallejo White is actually a really nice highlight for the Pro-Acryl White, because the Pro-Acryl White is muddier Hey, you can actually see back here. All good, just getting ready for work. Yeah, man. Doing all right, hanging in there, buddy. Trying to get my gaming and my painting on when I can. You know, working my job, taking care of my boys. You know, living the life, dude. Let's see if I can do this without leaving brush strokes in. Because that will make me very mad. Alright. Pretty good. Pretty good. But yeah, looking forward to running this guy here on a team that would have Mysterio and or Black Cat. Depending on the crisis, you might see both Mysterio and Black Cat on the same team. And that to me just sounds like the most amazing thing. Just based on how they both play. Man, alright. Pretty stoked on this. You got a dash? Alright, man. Thanks for popping in. Pretty stoked on Mr. Fisk here. Let's do the victory lap. And then we'll wrap it up. I'm gonna have to re-glue him to his base because he's just sort of wobbling on it right now. But yeah, Mr. Fisk. Alright, my collection of MCP is fairly complete until Moon Knight and Blade show up. But I got plenty to play right now. Okay. I love that Criminal Syndicate is already a pretty deep roster, and it has 2 leaders. Pretty stoked on that. But right now, what I'm really interested in playing is Criminal Syndicate / Spider Foes. I think that gives me all of the models that I think are fun when playing bad guys. And I want to play full bad guys. And then my good guy team is obviously Spider Web Warriors, so pretty stoked on that. But yeah, here's Mr. Fisk. You know, you still could use a detail here and there, but yeah, this is pretty much what we're getting. He's ready to go. Could just put him on the board like that once I seal him. Gotta seal him up. But yeah, I don't know. Any questions or anything while we're just chilling for a minute. Pretty stoked. Pretty stoked. Yeah, right? So, as an example, 17 threat with this team would be Homeboy. It would be this dude, Mysterio, the other 4 threat could be Carnage or Goblin. I kind of like Goblin. So if let's say the other 4 threat would be Goblin, and then the three threats would be Mysterio, Black Cat, and Kraven. That's kind of awesome. Or you could go Mysterio, Black Cat, Doc Ock. Also pretty good. I am liking what Kraven can do, though, to boost the whole team versus Doc Ock. But there's just so much utility there, right? Goblin's a Swiss Army knife, true. I could go, but if I drop Goblin, now I have some really interesting options, because then I would have then I could field Venom, then I could field Carnage. There's a lot, and like I said, there are some really good in Spider Foes. There are some really good 4 threat models, but Goblin is fantastic, right? If you ran, it depends on like what kind of package you run, right? So let's say the package is KingPin Goblin. Let's say we just run that all the time. That's 8 threat, right? So at 18 threat, then you field, then you would probably field, I would field Carnage. I don't know, because with him, I feel like him and Venom are just a bit too slow. But that's I don't know. Sometimes you might run that. So at 18 threat, you run 3 4 threat models. So you would run KingPin, Goblin, and let's say Venom for now, right? And then your other 2 guys would be, then the 2 3 threats would be Mysterio and Black Cat. And your speed is really just Black Cat and Goblin, which is why you might even want to just run Lizard, which is weird. You might want to run Lizard instead of Mysterio, but I love Mysterio too much. Mysterio, too awesome. But anyways, that's kind of, you play around with stuff like that and you figure it out. At 17 threat, I do think it's him. I think it's him, Goblin, Mysterio as the core, and then you have 6 threat that you can. You've got a lot of options at the 6 threat. If you need more speed, then you go Lizard and Doc Ock, which is pretty good. Or you go Lizard, for example, Lizard and Felicia, or if you want a little more punch and range, then you go Doc Ock and Lizard. Like, there's a lot of different ways you can do it. So I'm pretty excited, because I feel like there's more interesting combinations in Syndicate / Spider Foes than there is in Web Warriors. Web Warriors are just fun, pretty much whoever you field, right? Because they're all, at the end of the day, Web Warriors are all pretty similar in that they're super fast. They don't hit all that hard, but they can escape from stuff, and that's cool, right? They're all sort of just your agility, run around the board, cap points type of team. But with Syndicate, you get a lot of other cool. You just get a lot of cool potential teams. So really excited to run this. Anyways, there you go. There's Mr. Fisk. We're gonna let him dry, and I'll seal him up tomorrow, and then he'll be ready to go the next time I am up for some MCP. So I'm really excited to put him on the board. I'm gonna have to put. I've got some magnets. I'll magnetize them, and then yeah, and then we'll get going from there. So that is going to do it for the stream. Want to thank everyone for watching. Have a good night, guys, and we'll catch you on the next one.